You're watching CNN and this is Connect the World. I'm Linda Kincaid. Welcome back. We're returning to one of our top stories. The Turkish government is cracking down after last weekend's attempted coup. Thousands of people have been arrested and thousands of officials have been suspended. And there are calls to reinstate the death penalty. Well, for more on the situation in Turkey, I'm joined by Soli Özel. He is a professor of international relations at Kadir Has University in Istanbul. Great to have you with us, Professor. Firstly, President Erdogan blames a Muslim cleric living in Pennsylvania for orchestrating this coup. Fethullah Gulen is, of course, 75 years. He's been in the US since 1999. Is he capable of leading this coup?
Well, that is what the government says, and there is a network of people. There's an organization inside the country that sees Mr. Gulen as a leader. And I guess the government must have evidence that there's been a direct link, although Mr. Gulen himself has denied it. But this is not a struggle that has begun only now. Mr. Gulen at some point was an ally of the current government in its fight in establishing the bona fides of the civilian government against the old order in Turkey. Then they ran afoul of one another, and the infiltration of the Gulenist officers and members of the judiciary have been purged by the government, thinking that this was constituting a threat to their ability to rule and that they were being sabotaged in different parts of the state apparatus. That's why the president and most of his colleagues use the term the parallel state to accentuate what they believe the Gulenists have done in the course of the years and decades. So, and this is going to be a matter of contention between the United States and Turkey as well, because the government is firmly convinced that those who tried to plot the coup are one way or another either affiliated or associated with Mr. Gulen's movement, and therefore, since this is indeed a crime against the constitutional order, they would want to hold him responsible, and they would call on the United States to help Turkey out on this matter.
That's right. And of course, the US has denied harboring anyone. And the US Secretary of State says they haven't even seen a formal request for extradition. So they are awaiting that. But the president has compared Gulen and his supporters to a virus, a medieval cult of assassins. How threatened does Erdogan feel by Gulen?
Well, I would suspect that the president would not use such strong words if he did not think that this organization was indeed constituting a threat to either the constitutional order or to his rule or to his party's rule inside Turkey. As I said, this is not a debate that has begun now. This may have been brought to the attention of your viewers because of the tragic events of Friday night, which actually kept the country on edge, and the tensions are just now being subsiding, and that we're not there yet. So this is now, in a way, as far as the government is concerned, an existential threat. Therefore, the strength of the words that are being used to define Mr. Gulen and his movement.
Looking right across the country, just paint a picture for us of the division, the cracks we are seeing within the Turkish society.
Well, I think Turkish society on Friday night showed more unity than its cracks. But Turkish society does have a lot of cracks. There is a divide that has been there between secular Turks and non-secular or more Islamically oriented Turks. There is a Sunni-Alevi divide, and there is indeed a Kurdish problem which was resurrected last year, and the fight by the PKK against the Turkish state and the Turkish state's response has picked up. So there are plenty of issues that divide up Turkish society that are on the political space that have not been appropriately dealt with. But for Friday night, I can say there was as close to unity as possible that you could find in Turkish society against the success of this coup. I guess most Turks that have, a lot of Turks have seen too many coups or coup attempts in their lives. And one thing that the country is united in not wanting is really the success of a military coup. And in this particular case, as things stand today, the coup did not succeed. And we just have to now look forward and see what will be done in order to repair the damage on the military, which is the second largest military in NATO and in a very critical part of the world, and whether or not the divisions within the military can be healed appropriately. And then we'll see how the government will handle this. I found the remarks, or at least some of the remarks by the Prime Minister today, rather conciliatory. And it was also revealed today that the former Chief of Staff, who retired last year in August, General Necdet Özel, played an extraordinarily critical role along with the commander of the First Army in Istanbul. That means there is, of course, a rapport between certain elements and higher ranking officers of the armed forces and the government. And now we have a long period of repairing the damage that this thankfully botched coup has actually generated.